Okay, so some Dragon Ball fans may not be happy about this news, but inevitably, personally, I think that this is actually good news. Because as most may know, and in case you don't by now, ultimately Dragon Ball Super's anime is officially returning. It was announced that they are going to be doing the quote-unquote Galactic Patrol arc, which is essentially the Moro arc for manga readers, and a lot of people are really excited about this thing. It's been for years, ever since the Dragon Ball Super TV anime went off air, that a lot of people been kind of waiting and wondering like, yo, what's happening? When is Dragon Ball Super gonna return? Is it going to return? Of course, we had that whole Dragon Ball Daima anime in between things, which kind of kept some fans at bay as far as, you know, their appetite for Dragon Ball and all the stuff that it has to offer. But inevitably, there was a large section of the fandom that were kind of like, yo, Daima's cool, or maybe they didn't even like it, just depends on the fan. Where's that Dragon Ball Super anime? And at a recent event, it was announced that Dragon Ball Super's anime will be returning, which had a lot of people thinking like, okay, like, you know, we're about to get Dragon Ball Super's anime, the next arc, very soon. However, at that same event, they also announced that they were going to be doing a remaster, so to speak, somewhat of a remake. It doesn't seem like it's going to be from the ground up. It does seem like they're going to go back into the archive, so to speak, and kind of remake certain aspects, you know, recolor, do a whole bunch of different things to the pre-existing Dragon Ball Battle of Gods section, essentially the Beerus arc, which based off the trailer, for the most part, from what they've showcased, it does look like it's an upgrade. It does look like it's a lot better, even though, yes, Dragon Ball Battle of Gods has been redone multiple different times via the movie, the anime, the manga, but it seems like this next rendition of the Dragon Ball Battle of Gods is going to be even better. Not to mention, there's been a rumor circulating that Akira Toriyama, before his passing, was attempting to supervise this whole thing because he wanted to make it truer to his original vision and ultimately, again, just make it better. However, with this newfound Dragon Ball Battle of Gods arc and seemingly a lot of other stuff to come of essentially remakes of Dragon Ball Super, ultimately that means that, well, if what word is circulating is true, Dragon Ball's next arc for the Super anime is going to take a while to come out, and a lot of people are probably not the most enthusiastic about it, because essentially, if you remove the factor of that Dragon Ball Battle of Gods is being remade and a lot of other stuff from Dragon Ball Super, pretty much the entirety of Dragon Ball Super is being remade in one form or another, then essentially the announcement would be, yes, Dragon Ball Super's next arc is coming, but it's gonna take a while, which is probably not the announcement that Dragon Ball fans want to hear. I mean, we had the Broly film, and of course we had the whole superhero film, so again, there has been Dragon Ball in between, but as far as continuing the story that millions were invested in, you know, I'll never forget when the Tournament of Power was going on, the amount of people that were just anticipating each and every week was crazy. It was just like an event damn near every week for Dragon Ball Super. So rightfully so, fans are gonna feel like, yo bro, we've already waited a real long time. What's going on here? And before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell. I greatly appreciate it. You'd be able to get notified about anything and everything in the world of anime and manga, so hit them buttons. Because according to these leaks, it seems as though the Dragon Ball Super anime remaster will air weekly without breaks, running straight through its arcs, though the Moro arc itself will not air until early 2028, again according to this word that has been circulating, because it'll start off with the Beerus arc, which will be in the autumn of 2026, followed by Golden Frieza, then the Universe 6 tournament start of 2027, followed by Goku Black, then Tournament of Power mid 2027, unconfirmed, which this is gonna be, you know, give or take if they decide to go that route of doing Dragon Ball Super Broly at the end of 2027, or they might just skip that altogether. I mean, if they're already redoing Beerus and they're redoing Golden Frieza, then there's a good possibility that they might decide to do the Broly film in the TV anime as well, which I'm curious how that'll be handled, because that film till this day still stands the test of time as far as the, you know, quality visuals and things like that. And then following that, if this whole schedule goes according to plan, the Moro arc would premiere around early 2028, which again, for some fans that are upset, it's understandable. It's basically like the announcement we're getting in early 2026 for the next arc of Super won't even be happening. You know, the actual arc won't premiere for another couple years. It's pretty much the same concept of like video game that gets announced and then like you're 2-3 years in and you're like, hey, where's the video game? And considering again that they've already had ample amount of time to start working on this thing, it's like, it almost seems as though Toei Animation is essentially recreating or attempting going to, at the very least, recreate the feeling and the whole run that the original Dragon Ball Super anime had, where essentially, you know, you had a new Dragon Ball episode each and every week. Opposed to that aspect, like the original run, one of the things that was, I guess, very charming about it and extremely special to say the least was the fact that after a certain point, the anime went ahead of the manga. I want to say it was roughly around like the Universe 6 tournament stuff, maybe Goku Black, somewhere in that ballpark. Dragon Ball Super, essentially the anime, each and every week was like, we didn't know what to expect. There wasn't no manga source material because Toyotaro's manga version, story-wise, was kind of behind, hence why the manga actually is a bit different, which kind of makes me curious if they're going to change some of these stuff from the anime to actually mirror what happened in the manga. That'll be interesting to note. But nevertheless, that was one of the things about the experience of the Dragon Ball Super TV anime that was so fun. It was that you didn't know what's going to happen. It was very unexpected. It was very much so a journey without knowing what's going to happen, opposed to nowadays, you know, majority of stories, whether you read the manga or not, you'll come across some sort of spoiler. You'll come across some sort of information that is going to tell you what's about to happen. And Dragon Ball Super's TV anime, outside of some leaks here or there, we didn't have manga source material. It was basically like surprise each and every week. So I guess in that regard, Dragon Ball Super's anime, you know, the recreation of this feeling, so to speak, is not going to be the same because, well, most of this has already aired. I guess for a first-time viewer that's never been spoiled, they'll have a very massive treat for this thing. But for people that have already experienced some of this stuff, I mean, I guess a sense of nostalgia will be a factor, and if they recreate certain elements and if it looks as amazing as we've seen based off the trailer for the Beerus arc, then it'll be a very interesting experience to say the least. But still, it's kind of wild for a lot of people, like, yo, you know, a long wait still for the next arc, which if they're just starting potentially now to work on this thing, and that aspect is good, that they're giving them a good amount of time to make sure that this thing looks the best quality possible. I guess it just all boils down to people probably would have liked that this thing was already worked on and near completion by the time we got the announcement. But I do believe some of the reasons why we weren't able to have this thing ready by this point was the fact that essentially there was a lot of behind the scenes things going on with the Dragon Ball IP, where essentially they probably weren't allowed to work on some of this stuff until now. And as soon as they got the okay, like, hey, we could do this thing, they were like, let's let fans know it's coming, we just gotta work on it. And for those that are curious when we're going to get the next update on this thing, the next trailer, the next confirmation, Dragon Ball Super confirms when next big update on anime's future is coming. Dragon Ball Super has now set a date for when they will be revealing the next big update on the anime's future. Dragon Ball made a surprising comeback this year with the reveal that the franchise has a number of projects already lined up for the future as part of the celebration of the 40th anniversary of Akira Toriyama's manga making its debut. And with the Dragon Ball franchise coming back for much more anime, there's a new update on one of these new projects coming much sooner than fans might have expected. Dragon Ball Super Beerus has been announced as an official anime remake, remaking much of the original Battle of Gods arc seen in the first Dragon Ball Super TV anime series. This will be a new revision of the arc that's been touted as an enhanced version, and thankfully a new update on this new Dragon Ball Super remake anime has been confirmed to be coming as part of the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2026 event on April 19th, as detailed on the event's official website. As part of the lineup for Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2026, Dragon Ball Super Beerus will be hosting a special panel on April 19th. It's yet to be revealed if this panel will be made public or if it will only be available to those who attend the event in Los Angeles, California, but it's certainly good news to see an update is on the way either way. The remake was confirmed to be making its debut in Japan, but there are still many more questions surrounding exactly what to expect from this new take on the now classic arc. Dragon Ball Super Beerus has yet to confirm how many episodes it will be running for when it premieres later this year, but it's teased to feature extensive new cuts, revisions to existing scenes, a complete re-rendering of all footage, newly recorded dubbing with added score and sound effects, and a full reconstruction of the story. And according to leaks and word circulating and just fan speculation, here is potentially what we might get as far as how many episodes per arc. Assuming this is legit, we might get 6 episodes for Battle of Gods, which, if you think about it, that's pretty much the length of the film. 7 episodes for Resurrection F. Honestly, so long as they avoid the pitfalls that they made with the original Resurrection F with some of those art and animation choices, well, there's only so much you could do with that section of the story in general, but I think that it would be fine for the most part. Then potentially we're looking at 10 episodes for Universe 6 versus 7, potentially 18 episodes for the future Trunks saga, and potentially 40 episodes for the Tournament of Power. Now, the rest of this is clearly going to be speculation because obviously we haven't haven't reached these points, but some are saying 24 episodes for Moro, 24 episodes for Granola, 5 episodes for the superhero prequel, and 12 episodes for the superhero arc. I mean, I guess regarding the superhero arc, which would be basically a remaking of the superhero movie, that's something that they have to remake entirely, so I'm curious how they will handle that. Considering they're remaking Battle of Gods and Resurrection F and potentially Broly, there's a big possibility that they might go through that route for the superhero arc as well, although considering how they're running this thing, it's not really sure when that actual content will reach us, considering we'd still have to go through the Granola arc, and of course if they do the superhero prequel stuff that Toyotaro penned, so that's a distance out. And yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lot to look forward to for Dragon Ball moving forward, although I do understand that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be upset or disappointed for the wait for the new arcs, but at the same time, considering they're doing this enhanced version of Battle of Gods and so on and so forth, for fans that are just in general eager for more Dragon Ball and looking forward to kind of this experience again, or for the first time, we're not gonna have to wait much longer. Another season or 2 of anime, and then that's where we get started. Very curious how a lot of you people feel about this whole thing. How do you feel about having to wait a few years for the Granola stuff? Are you okay with it, considering the fact that again we're going to be having the enhanced version of all of these arcs that we've experienced beforehand, and we're going to be getting Dragon Ball every week? Or if you're one of those fans that already experienced that, are you disappointed? I think it's going to still kind of stand as its own experience. Yeah, you'll know what's going to happen, but most of that stuff is going to essentially be like almost a version of, like, you know, I read the manga already, but with the anime kind of giving a different experience. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I do believe it's going to deliver. And honestly, for the most part, for me personally, I am going to look forward to this regardless. I am going to try my best to enjoy this and wait patiently for Moro, because either way, we're still getting Dragon Ball in some form or another, kind of a new experience, so to speak, starting this year. But that's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in.